Hello everyone, welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 372, Andrew here. We are going to pick up where we left off last week. Actually, where we left off last week was, I told you all about the video game trailers I had seen that had caught my attention and why. And at the time of last week's podcast, I believe I'm only about 10 minutes into the Latin American Game Showcase, and I had talked about Goblin Cleanup. So, also in the Latin American Game Showcase was a game called Tenebris Somina, which is a retro-style it looks kind of like Clock Tower, if you've ever played that. So it's a 2D side-scrolly retro-style Clock Tower-esque survival horror with live-action cutscenes. Why? I don't know, but it caught my interest, so, hey, maybe it'll be neat. I don't remember which show or shows I saw it on, but they're also doing a kind of a remaster of Clock Tower, so yay. Alright, so next we had, after the Latin American Game Showcase, we had the Women-Led Game Showcase, and there was one game that caught my attention from that showcase, which was Hyde's Haunt and Seek. Which I honestly don't remember much about the game. It's, as the name might imply, it's spooky mansion ghosty thing. But what caught my attention is they wrote an original song for the marketing spot, for the advertisement, for the it's a 90-second spot, and they wrote a full original song, kind of a goofy. It's not barbershop, but it's barbershop quartet-esque. It's very haunted mansion feeling. I think they could have done more with the harmonies, but, it was a pretty decent song, and I always appreciate an original song in marketing. So I thought that was pretty fun. Then there was the Future Game Show, and nothing really caught my attention, so we're moving on to the Xbox Games Showcase. And the first game that caught my eye was Doom! The Dark Ages. Which I was kind of sold as soon as we saw the Doom guy is getting a fuzzy cape. Why is he wearing a fuzzy cape? I don't know, but I'm here for the fuzzy cape. He's got a frisbee shield, so he's kind of got Captain America's shield going on, only it's got a spiky chainsaw bits along the outside. And he's got a new gun that shoots skull fragments. It's a gun, and the top of it is like a meat grinder, and I guess you just fit skulls in it and just shoots out shards of bone at demons and stuff. It's great. It was, probably less than 90 seconds, but they're like, hey, new Doom. Here's a quick trailer of gameplay showing cool demons and cool weapons with which to kill the cool demons in cool ways. Marketing! Successful video game marketing! Just show the game! I was like, alright, great. So now we have potentially 2 games that might get me to buy a PS5. Doom and the new Monster Hunter. Cass says, I think Xbox did well, but the recurring theme of coming 2025 was a bit of a letdown. That's true. Also, Phil Spencer sucks. As a host and as a CEO, and very likely as a person. So they should probably stop using him as a host. So, Doom the Dark Ages looks pretty sweet. Also, you get to ride on a pterodactyl. Or something like that. It looks neat. All right. Next, they showed another trailer of South of Midnight, which I think we first got a look at last year. And last year they didn't show any gameplay. It's just some gal talking to some guitar playing dude in a Louisiana swamp, and then I don't know, a gator attacks or something, and I think maybe there was a ghost. And it's like, great. What's the game though? Well, a year later, we got a new trailer for South of Midnight, and oh well, the interesting thing presentation-wise about the trailer that we saw last year is they seem to be mimicking a very stop-motion animation style. And so we got a trailer this year, and it had some actual gameplay in it. Sadly, though, the in-game stuff doesn't care. The stop motion feel of the cutscene animation does not carry over into the gameplay very well. It's there, kind of, sometimes. It's present. It's ubiquitous in the cutscenes, and it looks great. But once it switches to the gameplay, it's kind of like there's a hint of it there, but like not always. Game's not out yet. They still have time to tweak this. But I was honestly kind of disappointed that the gameplay portions didn't evoke that feeling, that style, as well as the cutscenes did. Of course, you run into issues. It's like, well, I mean, if you did the whole stop-motion animation kind of thing in gameplay, isn't it gonna feel choppy or low frame rate or something? Fair. That might be a concern if like all of the cameras like 60 frames per second, and you've got like the the character animation is on twos or something. It might be a little jarring, but hold that thought because we'll come back to that later. Chaos says South of Midnight looks interesting. I'm not sold on it yet, but props for being something different. I don't know gameplay-wise if it's all that different, but it's certainly got a nice look. And the last time I trudged through the Louisiana bayou shooting alligators in the face in a video game, to be clear, was probably Shadow Man on the N64. So, it's been too long. Next we... Oh, God, this one. Okay, I forget what the game is. You're a woman and you shoot things for some reason. So the trailer's playing and I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. And then it says, kill all gods. And I'm like, pretty good title. Short, catchy, concise, tells me what I'm getting into. It's evocative. I like it. That's not the title. That's the tagline. The title of the game is Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. Which is a very crap title, because it doesn't mean anything. I mean, well, the woman in the game, our protagonist, she appears to have some kind of like flintlock pistol. I guess that's what it's referring to. But, okay. But flintlock is... alright. But then the subtitle, The Siege of Dawn. What? What do you mean the Siege of Dawn? How do you siege Dawn? What does that even mean? You had kill all gods right there. That's ooh, Again, I am not in marketing. I'm a tech guy. I don't work in marketing. So maybe Kill All Gods is a really stupid title that wouldn't sell well. And Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, that's the chef kiss so far as game titles are concerned. I don't know. I didn't go to school for this. But I thought the tagline was a lot stronger than the actual game's title. Like, Kill All Gods is something I would remember. Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn is not. So, hey, what do you think you do in the game? Do you kill gods? How many do you think you kill? All of them? Yeah, probably. What's Flintlock: The Siege of Donna about? Like a anthropomorphic old firearm that's sieging the sunrise? I have no idea. Yeah, doesn't mean anything. Dumb title. Alright, next we have Perfect Dark. Which I actually, this was going to impress no one, but I identified as Perfect Dark almost immediately because of the name Carrington. Which is, Joanna Dark works for the Carrington Institute in the N64 game. So here's the thing about Perfect Dark. It doesn't, to me, look like Perfect Dark. It doesn't evoke Perfect Dark, which is not necessarily a bad thing. New game is a new game. It doesn't have to be exactly the same game. Perfect Dark is a pretty much just a first-person shooter. There's some with a spy craft veneer. You've got a couple 007 techie gadget kind of thingies. There's some oh gosh, I've got a hiccup and a burp coming at the same time, and my body doesn't know what to do with it. Oh goodness, pardon me. That was unpleasant for both of us, I'm sure. So in the original game, there were mission objectives. You've got a little camera, go plant it in the person's kitchen. That kind of a thing. This new Perfect Dark looks a lot more like, I don't know, like maybe a Metal Gear Solid, where you're doing a lot of sneaking around a town and gathering intel and eavesdropping on conversations to get access codes so you can get through a gate, or maybe you want to crawl through a window or find a key under a doormat to unlock a door or something like that. There was very little first-person shooty gunplay in what they showed off. So it's a very, from the marketing, it's a very different feeling game than the original. Again, not necessarily a bad thing. If it's fun, hey. And it didn't seem tonally discordant with what Perfect Dark is, which is thematically, right? It's a sci-fi spycraft kind of a world. You've got a spy agent person, and there's aliens. And it felt like it existed in that same world. They're just going beyond point your gun at things and shoot them. So, it'd be interesting to see how that one turns out. I never played a Perfect Dark Zero, which I think was 360, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't hear many kind things about it, but we'll see. Next, next we have Diablo 4, which I have no interest in the Diablo games. They're just not for me. The reason I wrote it down was because they introduced the trailer as having no gameplay, which I thought was really funny. They're just kind of leaning into this now. They're like, and now we're going to show you... Hey, Diablo fans, are you excited for Diablo 4? Oh, I bet you are. Well, we're going to show you the opening cutscene. And then some gameplay? No! Just the opening cutscene. Okay, well, I mean, at least I didn't come off of it disappointed that I didn't see any gameplay. Didn't figure there'd be any gameplay in the opening cutscene. I mean, it's Diablo 4. I think we can all be pretty reasonably confident as to what the gameplay's like. But so, how was the opening cutscene? It's fine. It had it was one of the only, if not the only, trailers I saw, and I saw probably like 350 of these damn things. That started with there's some gross shit in here, so viewer discretion is advised. I'm like, really? Okay, all right, cool. And there's some gal being bound by tentacles, and she gets her hand ripped apart. Tentacles are grabbing this hand and grabbing this side, just rips her hand apart like splitting a wishbone. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm sure that. I'd say that deserves a warning. In fact, I'd go so far as to, I probably wouldn't have put that in the entire show. I would have said something like, hey, if you want to see a really gnarly opening cutscene, we're not going to have it in the show because this is a all audiences show, but, you can go find it on YouTube, but, have your barf bags ready. Lean into it. Make it interesting. Oh, man, really? Instead, it's just like, there's viewer discretion advised. It's like, that lady's hand got pulled in half like a wishbone. That was pretty gross. So, yeah, Diablo 4. I don't care, but it's Diablo 4. It's the third sequel. I'm sure someone cares about it. And, hey, maybe a lot of people were genuinely, screw gameplay, show me the cutscenes. I don't know. As Chaos agrees, it's Diablo. We kind of know what it plays like. Yeah, they all play exactly the same. The only difference is the cutscenes. Show me the differences. So, maybe. All right, next there's a game called Mixtape, which interestingly is also a game that is using a stop-motion animation style. But the difference, from what I can tell from the marketing, between this and South of Midnight, is Mixtape seems to be a lot better at maintaining the stop-motion look in both cutscenes and gameplay. I think, from the trailers anyway, Mixtape is a lot more successful of having a consistent visual style between the cutscenes and the gameplay. I found that pretty interesting. And next, we have another game which, at first, I thought the title was Nothing Is Forever, which I was like, Nothing Is Forever. That's not a bad title. It's seems thematically relevant to the game footage that we've seen. It's evocative. It's kind of catchy. Nothing is forever. It's like, okay, that's not the title of the game though. That's a tagline for the advertising. The name of the game is actually Wu Chang: Fallen Feathers. Is Wu Chang a proper name? Is it the name of the protagonist? I honestly don't know. I have no idea what that word means. I also don't know what Fallen Feathers is supposed to mean. I'm not sure there were feathers in the trailer anywhere. That is a crap title. That's 2 of these in this show. Where they show the tagline, Kill All Gods. I'm like, cool name. Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. What? You had Kill All Gods right there. Nothing is forever. Yeah, I'm a little vague, but I, kind of dig it. Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers. What? I don't know. I mean, even like the Fallen Feathers of Wu Chang, that sounds better to me, at least, right? That's what is Wu Chang and what are Fallen Feather? I mean, it sounds like a mystery. It sounds like a a fantasy. Oh, the fallen feathers of Wu Chang. It sounds, mysterious and interesting. And Wu Chang. I don't know what that is. Fallen feathers. What? I'm not saying I should be in marketing. I'm saying these bozos shouldn't. So next was the PC Gaming Show, which apparently was the 10th anniversary of the PC Gaming Show. A show whose host, I think, is pretty good. I forget his name. The woman's name is Frankie. They also had another woman doing most of the co-hosting duties, because Frankie was pregnant, very pregnant, and was only there over, like, Zoom. I'll cut you some slack, Frankie. So the hosts are actually pretty good hosts. They're charming, they're charismatic, they're funny. The jokes are mostly pretty good, if sometimes a bit too long and maybe a bit overwritten. And they kept the show to almost 2 hours. It ran a little over 2 hours. I remember the first PC Gaming Show, I think, topped past 3 hours. It was just way too much. But, 2 hours, there's a lot of PC games, right? You do a Microsoft show, and it's just Microsoft stuff. It's like, okay, we could get in and out of that with an hour and a half. Oh, I guess they also had the Black Ops 6 presentation, which presented Black Ops 6. And I don't care. So, moving on to the PC Gaming Show. Tempopo. It's a game about little pink blobs of stuff that do something. I don't really remember, but what I do remember is this was another game where they took the time to actually write an original song for the marketing, and it's pretty solid. It's a bit goofy, but it's also really smartly written and has a lot of variations on its melodic theme throughout the entire, 70, 80 seconds of the commercial. I was genuinely impressed with the composition of this thing. It's probably nothing you're going to go away humming to yourself, but again, I just really appreciate them taking the time to write an original song for their marketing, even if I don't really remember much about the game. Next was Tactical Breach Wizards, which is I guess it's kind of like XCOM. You have character classes, and they're on a grid, and you move them around, and you punch or stab enemies in the face when you get close enough, right? It's one of those. The reason I wrote this down is mainly because the trailer voice guy was funny. I just thought he was funny. That's the whole thing. So it was worth writing down in my notes. Chaos says, let's be honest, at this point, we're all just waiting for the Nintendo Direct, which will likely be this week. Speaking for... yes. For me, that's definitely a yes. It's like, alright, Nintendo, show them how it's done. Because even if you, and this has been me, particularly in the Switch generation, if you sit through Nintendo's show and it's just like, none of those games are for me, man. Yeah, I feel you sometimes. I've sat through an entire Nintendo Direct and been like, wow, nothing there's speaking to me, and that makes me sad. At least the shows are usually really well done. They're rarely longer than like 40 minutes. Almost every game they show has gameplay in it, and it's incredibly rare, except maybe in a quick montage of different games, it's incredibly rare that a presentation for a video game will end and you will find yourself saying, okay, what's the game though? Nintendo's very good about presenting video games in a way where you come away going, oh, I have no interest in that game, but at least I know I have no interest in that game because I know what the game actually is. So, Tactical Breach Wizards had a funny trailer voice guy talking about the different character classes. Was funny. Um, he's saying, Kevin is the healer, but he'll have to kill you first because his healing powers come from necromancy or something. I'm like, okay, that's kind of funny. Um, Susan is the barbarian. Her power is, she has skin like armor. She also wears armor, so, okay. It was goofy, it was funny, I liked it. And last from the PC gaming show, Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. It's not a good title, it's not the worst. At least, what it looks like This War Is Mine. So it's a side-scrolly, character survival, hopeless situation kind of a thing. Maybe a bit of Zombie U in the sense that your characters can die and you go loot them with another character, that kind of a thing. The reason I wrote it down, though, is because there's a scene from the trailer where one of the characters, your protagonist is, creeping around, and then it does the Resident Evil hallway Dobermans through the window thing where a zombie bursts through the window and the protagonist goes, ah, shoot, 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 shoot. And on the screen, I'm sure if you haven't played it, you've at least seen the Telltale Walking Dead games where it's like, Chloe will remember that, or whatever the kid's name was, right? This does almost the same thing, except it said trauma gained, nightmares. I just thought that was hilarious. The zombie bursts through the window, you shoot it to death, but now you're traumatized with nightmares. I just thought that was really funny. No idea how that works in the context of the game as a mechanic. Would have been interesting for them to go into that, but I did get a laugh out of a zombie burst out of a window. It's like trauma gained, like Stargate from Mario Sunshine. Trauma gained, nightmares. I thought that was pretty funny. Did Claire Obscure Expedition 33 catch your eye from the Xbox events? Well, I didn't write it down. Expedition 33. Wasn't there something called that? I thought there was a... Oh, no, that was during the show. I just didn't write it down. Yeah, I remember something called Expedition 33, and I don't remember what it is. I can't spell. That's embarrassing. Well, you couldn't see what I was how I horribly misspelled expedition. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So there's a tower off in the distance, and some asshole keeps painting a number on it, and whatever number she paints, everyone who happens to be that age just drops dead. Or, I guess, gets dusted snap style. Yeah, well, it's an interesting premise, but I don't recall them actually showing any gameplay, so... It's a fun high con. Oh no! They actually did show a little bit of gameplay. That's right. So you get a party and you go find this painter and beat the snot out of him. It's slowly coming back. It looks fine. It's nice high concept. It's a fun idea. There's probably like more than meets the eye to the whole thing, and that's nice. So yeah, it could be neat. All right. Let's see. It looks like a mix of Final Fantasy X and Lost Odyssey. Oh, Lost Odyssey. I haven't thought about that one in a while. Turn-based RPG. Right. That's right. It was the one that was the menu-based turn-based RPG. Yeah, Could be neat. I'd need to see a little. Really difficult to evaluate a turn-based RPG's combat system in even a leisurely demo, let alone a 90-second trailer. But it looks pretty. It's got an interesting premise. It could be fun. Let's see. Where'd my notes go? Here we are. So that was the PC gaming show. Trauma gained, nightmares. Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. Guys, pick one or the... It feels like they were like, what should we name the game? How about Into the Dead? It's like, that's not bad. Into the Dead, like, in the unknown, in the unknown. Sorry, Frozen 2 just keeps coming in. Even though Frozen 2 is not very good. It was not a good movie. What's his name? The guy in the Frozen. It's not Olaf. Olaf's the snowman. Sven? What's the guy's name? I don't remember the guy, but the Into the Woods song, easily the best song of the show. Or no, not Into the Woods. Lost in the Woods, I think is what it is. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Into the Dead. That's a pretty good name. How about Our Darkest Days? A little generic, but not too bad. It's like they were fighting over the two. It's like, all right, fine. Let's just separate it. Let's use both and separate them with a colon. Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. Is everyone happy? No, now it's just stupid. And no one's going to remember it. Oh, as Expedition 33, I didn't even realize Claire Obscure Expedition. I didn't realize it had a longer name. I thought it was just Expedition 33. It's called Claire Obscure Expedition 33? That's a dumb name. That's just confusing. What does that mean? Is Claire Obscure a name? I mean, Expedition 33 is vague, but at least it's punchy and memorable. Expedition 33. Oh, shit. What happened to the first 32? There's a little bit of intrigue there, but no. It's just... So the Ubisoft Forward event. They opened up with a overture. Musical overture of Star Wars Outlaws music. I don't remember it using any of the actual John Williams themes, but it was definitely influenced by them. And they well should be, because it's Star Wars, right? It definitely had that flavor, so it sounded like Star Wars. And one of the horns was off. Oh, you think I didn't hear that? I heard that. I'm not sure which one of you it was. I'd have to really take a good listen and figure out which one of you was off. But one of your horns was off. I heard it. Anyway, so Star Wars Outlaws. Maybe it'll be fine. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's either going to be a solid game or it's going to have too much Ubisoft bullshit in it, and it's just going to be a frustrating mess. But I wrote it down because I wanted to make fun of whoever was having a bad day on the horns. It wasn't throughout the entire thing. It was only for like one section. But what I wanted to point out is I like the protagonist, Susan, whatever her name is. Susan is not a very Star Wars-y name. It's probably not Susan. Suzanne. There you go. I like her fighting style. Because she just throws haymakers. That's all she does. She has her fighting style consists of nothing but sloppy, wild-ass swings. And I kind of love that. Because we've seen, like, the last two Star Wars games we got were the Jedi something. Jedi something Survivor. It's Jedi Outcast? Jedi the last two Star Wars games we got. Started Jedi, so, he's very ballet. And he's very fluid and martial artsy. Very dance-like and fluid in his motions. And he's a Jedi. What do you expect? Our hero in Star Wars Outlaw is not a Jedi, and clearly has never taken a martial arts class. She just does wild swings, and I kind of love that. It's pretty refreshing to have a protagonist who she doesn't know how to fight at all. Nope, she's going to throw nothing but haymakers with this woman. I thought it was hilarious, and I kind of love that. So, will the game be good? I have no idea. Some of the feedback I've read has been pretty positive, but I don't trust Ubisoft as a company any further than I can throw it. And I can't throw it even a millimeter. I don't think you can throw a company, so it's not really a good phrase, but I think you get what I mean. I mean, they're already doing things like multiple editions and day one DLC and season pass. I'm like, you're not making me feel good here, Ubi. You're probably not making a lot of people feel good, like a good number of your employees, because you harbor and protect sex pests. Oh, you want me to let that go? Stop doing that. So yeah, Star Wars. I like her wild ass sloppy swinging. She is a woman who literally throws hands. Well, not literally. She's not like chopping off someone's hands and chucking them, but it's like the most overt hands throwing I've ever seen. It's really adorable. I like it. Let's see. They're choosing these names in the hopes of a continuing. Yeah, I have a feeling that all of these names with colons in them, Doom : The Dark Ages, fine, don't care. It's just Doom, the new Doom. No one gives a shit. It's just Doom. They've earned it. It's a franchise now. You can subtitle it. If the first Doom was Doom : Here There Be Demons or something, that'd be like, what are you doing? But yeah, Flintlock, Siege of Dawn. Oh, you think there's going to be a sequel and you're going to call it Flintlock some other weird thing? Is that what you're doing? Are you looking forward to the Wu Chang franchise? I mean, hey, I wish you the best of luck. I hope you get a long-running franchise of great games out of it. But, before you start doing the colon stuff, maybe see if anyone gives a flying falafel about your IP. Yeah? She's a brawler. Yeah, she is a brawler, and I kind of love... And a sloppy brawler. She's, like, not good at this. It's... And I think that's great. It gives it a personality and a flavor that you just don't see much in video game protagonists. Even someone like, Nathan Drake, he's clearly not a trained dude, but this is a guy who's been scrapping since he was young. He knows how to throw a punch, right? He looks like a competent brawler. I mean, he's not doing a hurricane kick or anything, but he knows how to throw a punch. Kay Vass, is that her name? Kai Vass? Something. She does not know how to throw a punch or fight at all. And it's kind of funny. Alright, so next we had Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Oh god, this. Yeah. So, several years ago, Ubisoft premiered a trailer with gameplay of a remake of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, which came out in like 2002, something like that. It looked like this remake of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time had actually been completed like a decade prior and had just been sitting on a shelf the entire time. Like, it looked like a remake that was originally planned for like the PS3 360 era. It looked a couple generations old. And Ubisoft quietly canceled it, and we've heard that they changed developers and that they've been having trouble with it, so we finally got to look at it today. And what we got to look at was a single shot of a candle burning backwards and the reveal that it's not coming until 2026. So, yeah, that's seems like they're having trouble. I mean, we'd already heard that they'd restarted this one. Sounds like they might have restarted it again. That was pretty fun because, man, they had nothing to show. I mean, this wasn't even like one of those really elaborate ones where they like commissioned some outside vendor to do some bullshot trailer full of this is what we're hoping it will be like once it finally releases. No, it was just a candle burning backwards. And okay, I mean, kind of clever, the sands of time or rewinds time. I get it. Cool. 2026, huh? Wow. Okay. All right. See you in a couple of years. Cass says, yeah, I don't want to give Ubisoft any more money. Yeah. Hasn't there already been a Flintlock game? Has there? Wow, is Flintlock Siege the Dawn or whatever it's called? Is it actually a sequel? I don't know. Good question. Cafe Fox says, yeah, I think it's funny that they didn't show any actual footage of Sands of Time. They know that people are waiting. I have a feeling that they didn't show any because they can't. I was surprised we didn't at least get like some concept art or something, like maybe some character renders. I mean, it feels like they started over like again just recently and have nothing, right? But I mean, even our first look at Bayonetta 3 back in 2017 or something, they at least rendered Bayonetta dodging bullets and getting shot in the face a couple of times, and they're like, Bayonetta 3. This is several years out, but we just wanted to do something. Then again, you had Metroid Prime 4, where it was just, Metroid Prime 4. Speaking of Metroid Prime 4, is anyone in the Austin area? Can you drop by Retro Studios and make sure there wasn't like a gas leak a couple of years ago that killed everyone there? Are we sure that anyone at Retro Studios is still alive? Could someone please just conduct a wellness check on Retro Studios? We haven't heard anything from them in years. I just want to... I'm not saying, hey, make me my Metroid Prime 4 faster. No, I just genuinely want to know that everyone's okay. So, yeah, Chaos says it's about as much as we've seen of Metroid Prime 4. And yeah, Cafe Fox says, yeah, all we got of Metroid Prime 4 several years ago when they restarted it over at Retro was, who did they take it away from? Was it Ubi or was it someone else? I don't remember. Was just the title treatment. So, let's see, where are we? We are in Ubisoft. Okay. Assassin's Creed Shadows. I think it's Shadows, right? Wrote that down right? The new Assassin's Creed thingy. Just a couple things that I wanted to point out. So there was gameplay. Hooray for gameplay! So Yusuke, the big samurai guy, is walking through town. The gameplay, and people like bow at him because they don't want him to smash him with the big club he has on his back. Probably hurt. And then someone runs up to him and is like, "Hey, stranger, there's some mean people over there. Please kill them for me." And he goes, "Mean people, eh?" And this woman says, "Yes, trust me, they're very mean. You should go kill them." He's like, "I'll go kill them, random person who just approached me out of nowhere. I trust you. You've got a trustworthy face." And he goes and he kills a bunch of people, and that just came off as very silly to me. I'm like, maybe we could spend a little bit more time on the dialogue for the quest givers rather than just some random asshole saying, "Here's some mean people. You should go kill them." Well, okay. Didn't have anything better to do. Also, anyone surviving hits from that gigantic-ass club that Yusuke's swinging around just comes off as silly. I mean, the Assassin's Creed games are kind of silly anyway, but, I mean, it still looks fun, but that club is so massive that it's like, you get a good shot, you clock someone in the head with that, they're not getting up. They're not just walking that one off for another strike. Yeah, that's an insta kill. That's crippling, if not immediately killing people. Then again, you get slashed with a sword, you're done. But for some reason, maybe it's because we've got more sword games than gigantic spiky club games. I don't know. Oh, there was another shot where Yusuke's beating up the bad guys, and one of the bad guys like grabs one of the innocent civilians and is like hands him a spade or something like that, and just pushes him at Yusuke. It's like, here, go get him. And the guy's like, I don't wanna. And Yusuke friggin' kills the guy. And I'm like, how are we supposed to feel about this, Ubisoft? I'm really not sure. Because the way it's presented is the bad guy just threw a civilian at us and we just murdered him because he was in the way. I'm like, It's a choice. It's not even necessarily a wrong one. I just thought it was really weird. Let's see. Original developer, says Chaos of MP4, was Bandai Namco. That's right. I believe Chaos is right that it was never actually confirmed, but that's what I remember too. It was Bamco who was the original developer. Okay. And then there was Yacht Club Games Presents, and it was insanely boring because I just don't care about Shovel Knight. And it was half an hour of, oh my god, isn't Shovel Knight so awesome? It's like, yeah, it is. It really is a great game. It's fine, but they did not have enough for a Yacht Club Direct. I mean, they were like, hey, look, plushies of Shovel Knight. Hey, here's a montage of the 50 games that Shovel Knight has cameoed in. It's like, I don't know. If you're a big fan of Shovel Knight, it's probably a fun half hour. I was bored to death. All right. But, oh my friends, after all of that, I saw a video game trailer. Another one. It was, quite possibly, the single worst video game trailer I have ever seen in my entire life. So, Lollipop Chainsaw is a game that came out like maybe 12 years ago or something like that on the PS3. You play the cheerleader gal with the chainsaw, and she's got her boyfriend's decapitated head hanging from her belt for reasons. Makes sense when it's not. He's alive. He just doesn't have a body because like magic or something. He gets bit by a zombie, so she chops his head off, but he can still talk and bounce against her thigh as she runs around. It's really funny. Fun game. It's an action game. It's a lot of fun. It's got a wonderful juxtaposition between sloppy, gory, zombie chainsaw fun and kind of a very rainbow and unicorns, colorful Lisa Frank aesthetic. It's a really fun game. I like this game. Now, we've heard rumors for a couple years now that they've been doing a remake, and we finally saw a trailer for Lollipop Chainsaw. I think RePop is what they're calling it. And it is quite I'm sure there's worse, right? But I was genuinely stunned by how bad the trailer is. Would you like to watch it with me? Which one is it? Which, I think it's this one. There we go. Let's watch it together, shall we? You need to see this, because this is some of the worst marketing I've ever seen. All right, couple of things to keep in mind before we watch. Lollipop Chainsaw is one game. It's not a franchise. It unfortunately did not spawn any sequels. It's over a decade old. It didn't do that well. It is remembered fondly by those who played it, but it's not like a big franchise. I don't know that Vanessa, what is her name? I don't know. Susan. I don't know that she's like shown up in PlayStation All-Stars Brawl or I don't know that she's like cameoed in anything. So keep that kind of a thing in mind as we watch the trailer for Lollipop Chainsaw RePop. This is probably going to copyright claim this video, but you know, whatever. Who cares? Dragami Games. Right, this is actually kind of interesting. Lollipop Chainsaw RePop allows players to select Original Mode, which is based on the original release, or RePop Mode, which has less violence and uses pop art damage effects. This trailer uses in-game footage from RePop Mode. So it seems like they replaced the zombie gory blood with just, if going by the trailers, which we'll see in a minute, just kind of like colorful sparks. I don't know why, because that juxtaposition was always part of the game's charm for me, right? That gory zombie and Lisa Frank. You know, it's the chocolate and peanut butter combination that we didn't know we wanted. I do genuinely appreciate that. Regardless, you can just turn that off. So that's cool. So we're off to a good start. Juliet Starling. Juliet Starling, like Romeo and Juliet. Juliet Starling. What is the guy's name? I don't think it's Romeo. I think it's like Dan or something. But anyway, here we go. I'm probably going to talk over and pause and back up and all kinds of stuff. So it's going to be frustrating, but here we go. That's a very bland title treatment. Okay, but here we go. Okay, already this is weird, right? The world is infested with rotten and madness. I'm sorry, the world is infested with rotten? I mean, okay, infested with madness, that works in English, but it's infested with rotten? Guys, infested with rot and madness. Very weird, but okay, let's keep going. Nick, there we go. Makes sense because he, kind of nicked his neck with the chainsaw. So, okay, the world is infested with rotten and madness, and comes despair. I'm gonna guess that whoever wrote this, English is not their first language. And that's okay. Because I suck at every language other than English, so... Okay, so we've got, these pink sparks here. I'm guessing instead of bloody blood chunks, it's these sparks. That's what they're talking about with RePop. But I think the first thing we want to point out is this looks like shit, right? I mean, wow. It doesn't even look at the HUD, for crying out loud. It doesn't look like they've even up-resed the HUD. You'd think they'd at least redo all the art assets for the HUD, at least. I mean, what kind of remake is this? This looks like maybe an upscale of the PS3. I mean, did they just, go from 720p to 1080 or something? Is that all they did? Because this really looks garbage. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, you might be thinking to yourself, huh, interesting. We've got a sexy, scantily clad cheerleader wielding a chainsaw and doing a pole dance and beating the snot out of a bunch of zombies in flashes of light and color, and I feel nothing. I feel as dead inside as the undead that she's slaughtering with her chainsaw. And many of you have probably already figured out why that is. One is the music is flat and dull. It's just not a very... Now, this original game is well known for having a lot of contemporary... Well, not immediately contemporary music, but a lot of licensed music in it. Like, I don't know, ba-boom, boom, boom, ba. I think Hey Ricky is in it. A bunch of songs that you'd probably recognize, right? So it's the license for all those songs expired, so they probably just wrote all new music. Unfortunately, as you can hear, the track for this trailer is just kind of flat and dull and boring. But the other thing you probably noticed is there's no sound effects. We're not hearing the chainsaw rev. We're not hearing its teeth bite into the flesh of zombies and rip off little chunks. We're not hearing her yell, "Hey, stupid zombie, I'm going to shove my foot up your bum." We're not hearing the zombies go, "Argh." Right? There's no damn sound effects. So I kind of get what they were going for with the almost white noise, atmospheric, very minimal music in the front here. Right? We've got that kind of a distant wind kind of a noise going on in the background. And then we get to Juliet here, and we get that pop of color, and the music track kicks in. Right? But there's almost no sound effects going on. It's buried so far back in the mix that you can't hear a damn thing, which makes the entire thing fall flat, including looking like ass. And now you're probably pretty bored. And one of the reasons is again, this is a game that came out like 12 years ago. It did not spawn any sequels. So, if you're a fan of the game, you know who these people are, because you played the game. And you're thinking, yes, I would expect all the characters in the game to be in the game's remake. That's not surprising. If you haven't played this game, or you don't remember, we're on, I think, like the 8th character intro here, and we have no idea who any of these people are. Because all of these character intros are just an out-of-context, very short clip of the character standing somewhere. Like, look at this woman. Where is she? Can't tell. It's too dark in the background. We'll see her name. It's Mikasa or something like that. But we have no context as to who she is, where she is, what her role in the story is. We just get what she looks like, what her name is. Nothing cool about her. What's her power? I mean, she looks like she's undead. I mean, that's something. But we're on the 8th character intro, and we have no idea who any of these people are or what their relevance is. We don't get Mariska. We don't get it. We don't get any. We don't even get like a voice clip of them saying something badass or funny or cool or something. 9, 10. The elite of zombies purveyors. Don't know what that means. No sound effects. Absolutely no sound effects. Hey, was that a severed head hanging off of her belt? What's that about? That's weird. That's a better logo treatment. It's still a little flat, but it's got some color to it at least. That's a little bit better. There we go. You'd think the RePop would, like, you know, pop a bit instead of blending into the bottom, but okay. So, what did they end with? Let's see. There's Juliet, and she is charging away from the camera at an out-of-focus giant who is not properly framed. Interesting way to end your trailer. So, that is one of the worst pieces of marketing I have ever seen in my life. Like, everything about it is wrong and bad. As I said on Twitter a few days ago, if you told me that an AI edited this trailer, I would believe you. Especially for the bad English title cards. Just everything about this is wrong. Let's see. Cafe Fox says, I did my second playthrough of this not long ago. Like the game. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Lollipop Chainsaw. And, you know, I was like, I mean, if they do a remaster, I already have the original. If they remade it, you know, like Capcom remakes the Resident Evil games, sure, but this looks like barely an up-res. Cafe Fox says, wow, that was all bad. Yeah, I mean, they say it's an HD remaster, but I mean, even looking at the HUD, doesn't look like it. It just looks like the PS3 game. So, as a point of comparison, let's take a look at the original announcement trailer for Lollipop Chainsaw over a decade ago. This is, again, not part of a franchise. This was the announcement trailer. This is the first thing we ever saw. And let's compare how they marketed it with how they're marketing RePop. All right, that's immediately much more engaging and interesting. It's colorful, it's energetic, it's, oh, Warner Brothers, I know that name, and we've got a revving chainsaw and flashes of color and light. Okay, you've got my attention. Where are we going now? And a horde of zombies, and a heart. Lollipop, lollipop, oh, lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh, lolly. Needless to say, I mean, it's a licensed song. I get you couldn't use it, but just a much better, much more interesting, much more energetic song. Also, look at the title card treatment. It's custom. It's got, you know, the little floaty dots in the background. It's in cursive. It's, you know, it's a gradient pink with shiny bits on it. It's a lot more interesting to look at. It also makes sense in English. Meet Juliet. Oh, that's who the sexy cheerleader character is. It's Juliet. Okay, got it so far. She's a cheerleader. Yeah, alright. Yay, she looks fun. Now you could see the head attached to her belt, but it's cleverly facing away from camera, so if you're not looking for it, you probably don't notice it and aren't going to have the question. So our title cards, interesting, both trailers start with 3 title cards. The first one, or the RePop one, made no damn sense. This one is just, meet Juliet, a cheerleader with a big secret. Cool. What's the secret? Lollipop, oh, lolly, 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 lollipop. Okay, interesting, very cool and tonal change from the you know, the pop song, the bubbly cool 50s pop song to immediately a minor distorted version of it with zombie, the color gets desaturated, the zombies come out. That's a great tonal transition. And now we have a remixed version of Lollipop with a faster tempo and an extra percussion track to really drive home the excitement. And also, as we listen to the trailer, what is that you hear? In addition to the cool song that we're listening to and the cool music, you also actually hear sound effects, like the revving chainsaw and the chainsaw, making noise as it drags along the ground. Was that a voice clip? That was a voice clip. Okay, so we're getting a bit of a character from Juliet here, too. We know her name, we know she's a cheerleader, she's got a secret, she's a little bit of a potty mouth, irreverent, she likes to have fun. We're getting a sense of her personality and character. Okay. And now we're transitioning from the more rock version of Lollipop into a different, metal track.
Eat it! Bring it, badass!
Boy, that's a much better title treatment than the crap one we got here. Look at this flat, boring ass. You can notice we've got kind of the same thing. You've got the cheerleader skull thing, but the head is cocked. You've got the chainsaw coming at it at a different angle. You've got the head on the top slanted. You've got the chainsaw slanted. You've got the even Lollipop with the bloody chainsaw in the middle, and this one's just completely flat and boring. Let's get the rest of the logo here. There we go. Yeah, kind of a significant difference in title design, right?
Lollipop, a lollipop.
Sex, blood,
Boom, boom, boom.
What is that? It ends on an actual tag, an interesting joke, and a badass move? Makes you wanna, hey, let's look at that again.
Lollipop.
Boom, boom, boom.
Timed with a reprise of Lollipop? Hey, Facebook, you remember that? So there you go. That's how Lollipop Chainsaw was originally marketed way back in the day. Competently. So, I think I'm not saying anyone should hire me as a trailer editor. I would suck at it. I'd probably make something worse than the RePop trailer. But man, have some respect for your work. Like, was it the editor? Was it Bring Your Kids to Work Day, and the editor brought his stupid kids into work, and that's the best their kids? I mean, for 6-year-olds, it's pretty good, but man. Or maybe you disagree. Let me know in the comments. So that's the that's the podcast for tonight. Tomorrow we will definitely beat Trails to Azure. Cafe Fox says, so why couldn't they just reuse that video? A few minor edits. Well, they probably don't have the license for Lollipop anymore. From what I understand, none of the licensed songs will be in the new game. And you think maybe they just couldn't, but I mean, you'd think that you'd license it in a way that you could. Well, I mean, I guess they can keep printing this original version if they wanted to make more PS3 copies, and that would fall under the license, but they don't have the songs licensed for a remake. But yeah, use that trailer, change out the song, leave in the sound effects. You'll notice they only bothered introducing the heroine, our protagonist. They didn't introduce literally like 10 characters that you have no idea who the hell they are, or what their role is, or what they do, or where they are, or why they're cool, or what they sound like, or anything. Yeah. One of the absolute worst trailers I have ever seen. I was genuinely shocked by how horrifically bad it was by nigh every conceivable metric by which one would judge the efficacy of video game marketing. Just re-edit the video with new music. Yeah, because it doesn't look like RePop looks any better. So I think he could get away with it. Anyway, tomorrow, Sunday stream, will return to Trails to Azure. Almost certainly will not beat it tomorrow. We have to talk to everybody in Crossbell, and then we have to plumb the depths of the great Deku tree and ground Kia once we find her. Although, Kia's a tree now, so technically she is grounded. So 2, maybe 3 more sessions of Azure, and then we'll move on to something else. And by something else, I mean Cold Steel 1. So, alright, that's it for me tonight. Have a great rest of your evening, everyone, and hope to see you tomorrow for some Trails fun. Take care. Bye-bye.